So, good evening, everyone. And this is John Rollins. It is Wednesday, March 25th, and we're here for our weekly Strive sessions. I'm trying the new Strive, the new live video thing. So I hope it's going right. It looks like it's recording. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who shared birthday wishes with me on yesterday. Yesterday, I celebrated my 58th birthday, and I'm feel pretty good. I feel pretty good. Um, and I remember back over 20, 30 years ago, I was thinking to myself, I said, I questioned whether I would get out of my 30s. And not that I was doing something so wrong, and not that my life was so hard. I just questioned whether or not I'll get out of my 30s. And I made it to my 40s. I made it to my 50s, and I'm a few years from 60. Eventually, I think I'm going to probably get old. I'm not sure when that'll happen. But anyway, so we're here for our Strive session, and I want to thank those of you who've been praying with us, our family. We're good. God is good to us, and I'm so grateful to Him. Last week we were not able to be here because we had an emergency with our one of my parents, but she is great, and I'm so grateful to God. Last week, the last time we were here, we were talking about pursuing wisdom, and that will be our topic this week. We want to continue that, and I think I shared with you before. We're going to be doing that for several weeks. We talked about you want to ultimately be responsible for your trust and reverence of God. That is the beginning of wisdom. That was step one. Last time we were here, we talked about the people who are in your circle. We said that you have to choose your friends wisely. You say that you can tell a lot about a person, not by what their face looks like in the mirror, but by the people they hang around, who they bring into their lives. Okay. And on today, we want to talk about listening to the positive messages that you've heard throughout your life. You've heard repeated throughout your life. Okay. There's a good possibility that the stuff that I'm sharing with you, the stuff that you hear in church, the stuff that you hear from some of the other speakers who share topics like this on social media, you probably heard some of that stuff from some of the wise people in your life. Maybe it was from the conversations that took place on the porch, or conversations that took place at the dining room table for the holidays or after service. Okay, or maybe you had a mentor. But listen to the positive message that you've heard repeated throughout your life. Everybody can't be wrong. Some of the things that you'll hear me say, and some of the things that you've heard other people say, there's some truth to it. And many times, and I think you've heard me say this before here, okay, we don't have to make all of the mistakes ourselves. I know I've said this, but I heard many years ago that only a fool learns from his own mistakes. And the wisdom stuff we're talking about, the book of Proverbs, where we took this information, it talks about the foolish person and the wise person. I remember hearing only a fool learns from his own mistakes. A wise person learns from the mistakes of others. And so there's some things that people have found out either the hard way or by trial and error or just common sense. And they try to share some of those messages with us. We want to listen to some of the positive messages that you've heard throughout your life. When you hear something in somebody, and it may not all say the same thing, the good people are able to take a message or a principle and they can put it in common language. We talk about the layperson. That's one of the things that amazed the people about Christ. When he was doing his teachings, he taught. They said, well, we know this man didn't study. His dad was a carpenter. We know he didn't study in the scriptures, but he speaks with authority. He speaks to someone who actually knows what he's talking about. Some of the people who do these share these messages with you, they're able to put them in a way that's practical, something that makes sense. You know, where the light bulb goes off. So what are some of the things that you've heard in the past? The people who told you these things, you think they were doing it because they had something against you, or maybe they were trying to help you out. Okay, who were these people? Okay, what was their reputation? What was their track record? If there are people who've demonstrated through time that their lives seem to be more in alignment with some of the natural laws, the spiritual laws in the universe, and things seem to be working out good for them, then and they're trying to share some of that information with you. You may want to listen to some of the stuff, and then again, especially if you hear multiple people saying the same thing, um, that when you heard some of this stuff and you tried it, okay, did it make your life easier or did it make your life harder? The other day I was thinking, and I believe I've said this before, but I question my own self. I used to say, don't take advice about your finances from a broke person. Okay, you don't want to take advice about your health from a person who's unhealthy, or you want to take advice about your relationships from someone who's working on their fourth or fifth marriage. I used to say that. Okay, but then I caught myself and I questioned it. Okay, a broke person can tell you these are some of the mistakes that I made, and you can learn something from that. A person who was on their deathbed, they can say, I made some mistakes. Don't do what I did. The person who did not value their relationships and they ended up losing them, they can say, don't do some of the things that I did. So actually, we can learn from almost anyone. We can learn from a child. We can learn from a friend. We can learn from a coworker. We can learn from a homeless person on the street. Okay, if their messages are positive, and if there's merit to what they're saying, we can listen to some of those positive messages. Is it possible that the people who were telling you something, is it possible that maybe they could be right? And if they are right, then why would we not want to adhere to the information that they're being shared? What does it really matter who it comes from? And I know in the leadership, it says the leader is the message. Okay. But again, now, if we're talking about practicality, just common sense, good old street knowledge, the stuff that our grandparents didn't get from education, they didn't get it from going to school, they got it from living life. And they're trying to tell us stuff that could make sense. I don't think they're telling us to try to hurt us. And we have some people in our lives who they live on a different island. Okay. But I believe most of the people who we interact with on a day-to-day basis, I believe most people are good. And so when they're telling us positive messages, we want to listen to them. Now, how do you react when someone tells you something that you think is wrong or something that you know is wrong? Do you get defensive? Do you want to go out and accost them or confront them and fight them and get into a yelling match with them? Or do you, in your mind, you say, okay, thank you. You have no intention of doing what they said to do. You have no intention of listening to what they said. Okay, but you say thank you and you politely walk on your way. Okay, how do you react? Okay, when was the time when someone told you something that was right, but you didn't listen to them? What was the outcome? Were you pleased with that outcome? If you weren't pleased with the outcome, then the way that we go about changing those outcomes are changing our actions, changing our behaviors. Okay. Now, that person who tried to give you some insight, the person who tried to help you out, they told you what was the right thing to do, you ignored them, and then your paths crossed again. How do you feel when you have to go and look at that person? Were you humble enough to say, you know what, I when you told me to do X, Y, Z, I didn't listen to you, and I messed up, and my results were not favorable. They were not pleasing. I know I should have listened to you then, and I just want to come to tell you that in the future, if you have some information that you can share that could help someone, don't hold back on it. Okay, maybe the next person will be smarter than me. Okay, you go back and you confess, or do you avoid the person? Oh Lord, I don't want to see them because they're gonna act with I told you so. Okay, and when you tell somebody something, do you have that "I told you so" mindset, or do you say, you know what? I too have made some decisions that I was not happy with. I took some actions and behaved in some ways that I was not happy with them. And so we all can learn. Hopefully this will be a good opportunity for you to learn going forward. And so maybe the next time something comes up, not only will it be beneficial for you, but you can use what happened to you and maybe you could benefit someone else. All right. So listen to some of the positive messages that you've heard repeated throughout your life. Now we're going to talk about know a good gift when you see one. Okay, and this is something, and I've said this before. I love the concept of wisdom. Okay, and it says I was reading earlier today, and I saw something that I had not seen before. I was reading a different translation than I normally read, but it says wisdom and good sense are gifts. It says wisdom and good sense are roommates. Wisdom lives with good judgment. That's in the scriptures. Wisdom and good judgment, they hang out together. Okay. Knowledge is a gift. A knowledge of God is a gift. Okay. But we've heard so many times that there's a difference between wisdom and knowledge. Knowledge is to know. Wisdom is to do with what you know. Okay. Know a good gift when you see one, when you receive one. Some gifts are given to you, but there are other gifts you got to go and look for. You got to search. You got to search for insight. You got to search for understanding or awareness or perception or intuition. One of the books that and you've heard me say this before, but one of the books I love is the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And one of the laws, law number 8, is the law of intuition. And the law says that leaders evaluate everything on a leadership bias. It says who you are determines what you see. Okay. There's some things that you have to search for. Okay. Understanding. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom in all you're getting. The Bible says get understanding. Awareness. Being self-aware, knowing your strengths, knowing what your weaknesses, your ability to perceive, your perception, how you see things, and how different people can be looking at the same thing, but one person sees something, other person doesn't see it. Okay, sensitivity and awareness or intuition. Okay, discernment, judgment, shrewdness, sensitivity. These are gifts. Everybody doesn't have them. Everybody doesn't have the ability to discern. If you have that, it is a gift, and you should value it. Okay, it will be a good idea for you to use it so that you can bring edification to the people who are around you. Okay, there's some gifts that you got to look for. It's like having a treasure chest, and you know that inside that treasure chest is something valuable. You may have to dig through a lot of things to get to it. Okay, but once you find it, you have a greater appreciation or greater use. You receive a benefit from that item that you sought for. You can receive a benefit from wisdom. You can receive a benefit from good judgment. You can receive a benefit from discernment. Okay, everybody doesn't have that gift. There's some people, and I said this before, they wouldn't get it if it was a big hole in the ground. You talk to them, and it's like talking to an Idaho potato. Some people just don't get it. That's not a knock on them. Okay, but there's some people who just don't get it. All right, so search for it and then find it and then value it. Okay, there's a way, I believe this with all that's within me. I believe that there's a way that we can make the right decision every time. Every time. Okay, and do understand though that the right decision isn't always going to be a popular decision. It may not always be the decision that everybody else sees the goodness in it. Okay, but if it's the right thing to do, don't hesitate. Don't compromise. Okay, this is a part of knowing a good gift when you see one, being able to be known for doing what is right, being able to be known as a person who is truthful, a person who is just, a person who operates in integrity. Do you know how many doors that opens up for you? When they say, you know what, I may not like that person. I may not like who he is. I may not like how he responds. Okay, but I can't question his integrity. I can't question his judgment. He may be a little rough around the edges, okay, but at his core, he is good. Okay, those are the people that you want to hang around. Those are the people that you want to have in your life. That's the person that you want to be to the people who are in your circle. All right, wisdom and truth are core values that lead to joy. I'm not talking about happiness. Okay, but wisdom and truth are core values that lead to joy. And in this book that I read a lot, it says that I came that you might have joy and that your joy might be full. Even in the worst of times, we can have a joy that operates at the very center of our being that just makes our lives so much more enjoyable. Hey guys, guess what? We're running out of time. This is John with the S.T.R.I.V.E session, strategies to remain informed strategies to remain victorious, strategies to remain empowered. We're talking to those of us who are believers, those who are in the body of Christ. And I just want you to be encouraged. Even as we're going through what we're going through right now, you can have a smile on your face. You can be happy. You can be confident that he who has begun a good thing in you will see it through to completion. All right. This is John, and I close the way that I always do it. And if there was ever a time when I thought this message brought some value, I believe it is right now, considering all the things that we're going through. I want you to know, I want you to have no question, no doubt about your greatness. I want to affirm you. I want to remind you that you are important. All right, this is John with the S.T.R.I.V.E session. Don't forget to check in on tomorrow. Pastor Mingo should be here delivering some words of life. Guys, I love you all. I pray for you all. And I know that whatever you are going through right now, this is not the end. All right, thanks. Y'all be blessed.